All right, we got one from Business Basics.
The deal is dead on arrival. Despite a historic meeting in Oman, the Iranian foreign minister has gone on live TV to declare that his country will never give up its ballistic missile program, and that was one condition that US would not budge on. The response from Washington was swift. Massive wave of new sanctions targeting the regime's wallet. Now, with 40 Iranian gunboats swarming the Strait of Hormuz and the economy in freefall, the stage is set for a major escalation. Let's start with the biggest point, and that's the Iranian nuclear program. After the negotiations, here's what the Iranian foreign minister said about the nuclear program. Take a listen.
Yesterday's negotiations were solely about the nuclear issue. The Americans did not bring up any other topic. The negotiations were conducted indirectly through the Sultanate of Oman. We agreed to discuss only the nuclear issue. This was taken into account in yesterday's negotiations. As for zero enrichment, it is outside the scope of negotiations for us. The issue of enrichment is an undeniable right for us, and it must continue. Even through their bombing, they could not destroy it because technology cannot be destroyed by bombing. We are ready to reach an agreement where they are assured that enrichment will be peaceful in Iran. We are ready for that. When I told you that it was a good start, it meant that it is possible for the negotiations to continue in this manner and in this way.
Now, this sounds like a deal breaker, but it's actually not. As we have covered in previous videos, there are proposals on the table that would let Iran enrich uranium just at a very low levels. The issue isn't the enrichment itself, the issue is oversight. If Iran can enrich without anyone watching, nothing is stopping them from going from 1.5% enrichment to 60% enrichment, which they have done in the past. 60% is already 2/3 of the way to a nuclear weapon. That's why one of the proposed solutions involves a consortium. Instead of Iran enriching uranium domestically, a group of Arab countries or even Russia would do the enrichment for Iran and then give the fuel to Iran for its nuclear energy program. This way, Iran still gets nuclear energy and they don't control the process. No more flexible interpretation of the rules. This might be workable for both sides. But you see, the nuclear program may not be the biggest obstacle to a deal. Right after the negotiations, the foreign minister also made another statement. This one actually matters more. Take a listen.
The other matter you raised regarding missiles is a purely defensive issue for us, and it is not negotiable, neither now nor in the future. Because regional issues are related to the region and are not connected to countries outside this region. And these are internal matters related to the Iranian people. And no foreign party can interfere in our internal affairs. We have explained this several times.
He said there will be no negotiations on Iran's missile program, not even a discussion. This is significant because the US has made clear that any deal must address their missiles. Iran's ballistic missiles can hit Israel, can hit US bases in the Middle East, and can hit US Gulf allies. They are the regime's primary deterrent and their primary threat. And here's where it gets interesting. President Trump yesterday made a comment that suggests that the nuclear issue might actually be solvable, but the missiles are holding up everything. He said if Iran had offered the deal that they're offering now 2 days ago or 2 years ago, the US would have agreed. But now we know that Iran has serious missile capabilities because we saw what the damaged missiles can do during the 12-day war. And that's why US wants to address the Iranian ballistic missile program. Take a listen.
Mr. President, is a deal that is acceptable that only covers with Iran? Is there a deal that only covers nuclear that would be acceptable to you? Because they just want to have nuclear. They don't want to have anything else.
That would be acceptable, but one thing, and right up front, no nuclear weapons. If we could have made that deal 2 years ago, we would have made that deal, but they weren't willing to do that. Now they are willing to do it. So they're willing to do much more than they would have a year and a half ago, or even a year ago when don't forget, we've only been doing this for exactly 1 year. And we started with them a few months after the beginning of this term. This term has been amazing. But the results could surprise people. If they would have offered this deal originally when we first started, it would have been accepted immediately. We'll see what happens.
Read between the lines. Iran may be offering real concessions on nukes. That's progress, but they're refusing to touch missiles. And for the US, that's a deal breaker. Iran sees missiles as their only leverage, the only thing that actually worked during the 12-day war. Giving them up feels like surrendering their only defense. So, why is Iran at the table at all? Simple, their economy is collapsing. Iran desperately needs sanctions relief. Their currency is in free fall, money is fleeing the country, and every day without a deal, the pressure intensifies. That's exactly why they are negotiating. Not because they want to, but because they have to. They are trying to thread an impossible needle. Keep the missile program and get sanctions relief anyway. The odds of that working? Very, very low. And just to make sure Iran feels the pressure, the US announced new sanctions just 2 hours after the talks ended. The Treasury Department targeted 14 Shadow Fleet vessels used to evade sanctions, 15 companies trading Iranian oil and petroleum products, and 2 individuals connected to this network. The message with these sanctions was clear. We are not waiting for you to decide. We are tightening the screws right now. And here's something Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said during a congressional hearing that explains exactly how this pressure campaign works.
What we can do at Treasury, and what we have done is created a dollar shortage in the country. At a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March, I outlined the strategy. It came to a swift and I would say grand culmination in December, when one of the largest banks in Iran went under. There was a run on the bank. The central bank had to print money. The Iranian currency went into free fall. Inflation exploded, and hence we have seen the Iranian people out on the street. We will continue monitoring all the partners, all the Iranian partners. The good news, Senator, is that we have seen, and we can see it with our FinCEN, we have seen the Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy. So the rats are leaving the ship, and that is a good sign that they know the end may be near.
He explained that the dollar shortage created by the sanctions is what led to the protest in the streets. Now, some people are using this clip to claim that the CIA orchestrated the protests. That's not what he said at all. What he's trying to say is that sanctions have real-world consequences. When Iran cannot access dollars, the economy suffers. And when the economy suffers, people get angry, and angry people protest. The regime chose to fund Hezbollah, Hamas, and the missile programs instead of their own people, and sanctions made that choice visible. The revolution we saw was the result of all this. So, how did Iran respond to new sanctions dropping right after the talks? By playing the only card they have. Right after the sanctions were announced, Iran sent approximately 40 gunboats into the Strait of Hormuz. The message was clear. You squeeze us economically, we will take down the global oil shipping. You see, 20% of world's oil passes through that choke point. Iran cannot win a war with America, but they can make any conflict extremely expensive for the global economy. It's the same threat they have always made. But when you have one card, you just keep playing it. Meanwhile, the US is sending signals that suggest that they're preparing for talks to fail. The State Department issued a warning for all American citizens in Iran to leave immediately. If you can't leave, you should stockpile supplies and shelter in place. They should have plans for alternative communication methods because the internet outage will continue, and if they must leave by land, go through Armenia or Turkey. The warning says that airlines are canceling flights to and from Iran. The US government is telling its citizens to get down or bunker down. That's not exactly the language you would expect when you're expecting peace. And here's the biggest signal. The Trump administration is meeting with Iranian opposition figure in Florida this weekend. You don't meet with opposition leaders to plan post-regime governance if you think the current regime will negotiate successfully. This signals that regime change is still very much on the table. Iran knows this, and they're responding with more threats. Here's the foreign minister on what happens if the US strikes Iran.
The possibility of war is always present, and we are prepared for it, and this preparation is for the sake of solutions without war occurring. I told the American negotiators yesterday that you have 2 options for us: war and diplomacy. Our choice is diplomacy, but we are prepared for both options even more than before, and we hope that America will choose diplomacy. If America launches an attack against us, we have no ability to attack its territory. Therefore, we will attack the American bases located in the region, and this will bring the entire region into war. We are not attacking neighboring countries, but rather American bases. There is a big difference.
Now, second rounds of talks are scheduled for early next week. Let's see what happens then. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll keep you guys updated. My name is
Alright,
Sam,
guys.
and I'll see you in the next
Go
video.
follow.
One of the